Alright, I'm going to do a real quick demo here on how to use Excel to do some of your calculations and make a plot. You can see I've set it up, I've put some labels in to help me keep track of things. I filled in some data. This is the actual pH data. These %T's are made up, so this won't look exactly like your data, but it'll be similar. Alright, so if we have the %T's in and we want to calculate the T, we just have to divide by 100. And the nice thing about Excel is you can do a whole bunch of calculations basically at the same time. So what you need to do is write a formula where you want the number to be calculated. So you do equal sign, and what I want to do is divide this number. So I click in that cell divided by 100. And then if I hit enter, you see that that's exactly what it did. Now the nice part is you see this little handle down here in the lower right of that cell. If I just pull that down, it'll do the same calculation for all 5 of those cells. You see it changed the number as I drug it down. So that's pretty handy. For absorbance, I just need to do the negative log. So again, I just want to write a formula equals negative log, and then I want to do a parentheses here, and I want to do the log of that number, and I close the parentheses, and again I hit enter, and it's calculated the log of that. And if I want to copy that down for all 5 solutions, I just do that. Alright, and I also want to do that for my high pH and low pH solutions. So kind of the easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and continue copying down even further, and it calculates those. Obviously this row here doesn't have anything, so I'm just going to delete that back out. Okay, and so now I've calculated the absorbances, and then I want to calculate this log function. This is going to be what goes on your y-axis. The table in the procedure has a couple extra columns that I'm not including. We can just do the calculation all in one big fell swoop if you want. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to write a formula for that log function. So I'm going to again type equals log, and I'm going to do a couple of parentheses. I'm going to need that to keep the thing straight. Then I want to use the absorbance from the low or the acid form, the low pH or the acid form, which is down here in this cell. So I do that, minus the absorbance for whatever solution it is I'm working on. So that's this cell here. And then I'm going to close the parentheses. That's my numerator. And then I'm going to divide by, and I'm going to have another set of parentheses for the denominator. I want the absorbance, again, of the solution I'm working on, so that's right there, minus the absorbance for the base form, or the high pH form, which is given down here. So I go down here, and then I want to close up my formula. So I hit enter, and I get a number there. And again, these numbers aren't good, so you're not expecting to get the same value here. Now, if I drug this down, it would drag these values down as well. And the thing is, I want to use the same absorbance for the acid and the base form all the way through. So if I go back up to my formula, and in front of the number, E9 is the cell here, in front of the number, if I put a $sign, that'll freeze it. And if I put a $sign in front of the E8, in this case the absorbance of the base form or the high pH form, put a $sign there, that'll freeze it. Okay, so now when I drag this down, it'll do the calculation correctly. And if I go from here, it's everything E2, right, because I'm using this absorbance, and E8 and E9, which are down here, these absorbances. If I go down to the next cell, it's changed from E2 to E3, which is what I want, but it kept the E9 fixed, so it's still going to use those correct values there. Okay, so that's quite handy. Now I want to again quickly show you how to make a plot. To me, it's easier if I have my X and my Y in columns next to each other. So I'm actually going to insert a column. So if I just click on that column and do an insert, it doesn't mess up with any of those formulas. The computer keeps track of all that. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this over. So I do Control Insert or copy using the mouse. In other words, I can do this over here and paste it. And I got my X and Y's, and this is what I want to make the plot of. So the way you make a plot in Excel, you highlight your X and your Y columns, and again, just a little easier if the X is on the left and the Y is on the right. Okay, and then I do insert, and here's the charts. We're going to use a scatter plot. So there's lots of places and click around here, but I'm going to go to a scatter plot. and say OK. I want to get a scatter plot, and so I have a scatter plot. But your line is going to be a straighter line, a better line than this. It may or may not have the same sort of slope. Again, this is sort of garbage data that I've done here, so I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Okay, so you get a better straight line than this. And there's all sorts of things I could fix up. I'd really like if the axes spanned from 5 to 9. There's no reason for it to go down all the way to 0. So if I click on the axes, I go ahead, I want the minimum to be 5. That's a good thing to do. The main thing you're going to want to do is you want to include a trend line or a curve fit and the equation of the line. And so lots of different ways you could get here, but one of the easiest is if you press this plus sign, and I'm actually going to go to this arrow here, and I'm going to go to more options, and I'm going to display the equation, and that's really all I need. I want it to draw the line and display the equation here. So there's my equation for the line. That's where you get your slope and the intercept, which you're going to be wanting to look for. The other things you can do, obviously, good to put a title. I won't do that. You can also label the axes, which is important to do as well. So again, probably the easiest thing is if I just go over here, axes titles, and I can add a primary, horizontal, and vertical title. And so you see those show up there, and then if I click, I can type in there. So be sure to label your axes with units as that applies. And this is what you need to do to plot your data and do the curve fit, get the equation for the line. That should answer most of your questions. But if you get stuck, again, don't hesitate to send me your spreadsheet or send me an email, or we can set up a Google Meet to practice this a little bit more. It's a good skill to have. So hopefully you'll enjoy making a plot in Excel.